Okay, here's my advice on being a high school state champion. It doesn't matter to the college recruiters. The answer is yes or no. If you're a high school state champion in Indiana, they have one state champion, right? And that's a very good wrestling state. California, or Pennsylvania, especially the large schools in Pennsylvania and in California, well, they only have one state champion in California. So if you are just a state place winner in California one time, you probably have Division I schools crawling all over you. Where I think Virginia, I think they have like 6 state champions in every weight class, right? It's at least 5. Virginia is not a hotbed of wrestling. Not that there's not great wrestling there, and they have colleges, Virginia Tech, VMI, right? University of Virginia. There's 3 Division I wrestling schools in that state, and it's not really a hotbed of wrestling, which that's fine, right? Missouri's not necessarily a real massive hotbed of wrestling, although probably easily top 10, probably even higher than that, top 8 maybe. But you win a state title in the state of Missouri, even if it's class 4, it matters to you as a kid in a family, but to get recruited out of some of these smaller states, which is about 95% of the states, you're going to have to do that on the national level. Now, sure, maybe NAIA, a small Division I or Division II school, sure, you know what? They're hunting hard all of these state, they're combing these state brackets, and that's beneficial. But I think most of you watching this are probably scrolling through Instagram and saying, oh, I want to, wrestle at Iowa State or Wisconsin or whatever, which is cool, right? I totally get it. Now, they really don't care. They care about the national rankings more than anything. And people say rankings don't matter. Yes, they do, right? They may not matter as far as you winning a match. You can still beat someone ranked above you, and you can lose to someone ranked below you. But you do want to be ranked, right? So if you do want to wrestle, let's just say, to Division I school, well, understand, you might be able to go in town to the NAIA school. There's NCAA wrestling, then there's NAIA. So every state has a governing body, right? Ours is called MSHSAA, MSHSAA. That's who runs wrestling. USA Wrestling runs wrestling for the Olympic programs. NCAA runs college athletics for the NCAA wrestling. NAIA is not NCAA. There's a lot of NAIA programs out there that are growing like crazy, right? They're basically private colleges, private universities. They don't have a limit. They can give 50 full rides if they want. Where Division 1, 2, and 3, Division 3 NCAA doesn't have scholarships at all. Neither do the Ivy League schools. Division 1 and 2 do have scholarships. The most they can have is 9.9 scholarships per the entire team. So if there's 40 men on the team, they can give 10 guys basically a full ride and have 30 walk-ons, or they can just divvy it all up or do a little mix and match. Not all colleges are fully funded. I know a Division II school close to us, they have 1 scholarship for the whole team. They're not really even funded. So when you start looking, you might say, I'm probably, if you're just in it for the money, you might be better off going to an NAIA school and getting 75% scholarship than going to the Division I school close to you or within your area for 5 or 10%. Now, also think about this: out of state, you would probably be better off if, let's say, the University of Missouri was going to give you a 20% scholarship to go to the University of Missouri, so you pay 80%. Good. Let's say the University of Illinois was going to give you 40%, or maybe Wisconsin was going to give you 40%, but you paid 60%. Well, if tuition costs are 3 times as expensive out of state to go to Wisconsin as they are here, financially, you're better off going to the University of Missouri for a very tiny scholarship than getting a bigger scholarship and paying out of state tuition at 3 times the rate, which is roughly where you're at to be out of state. Now, some colleges have an out of state sort of waivers. I believe the SIU Edwardsville, right across the river here, Southern Illinois University, they're Division I. They have the border there's a border relationship. So if you're a state that touches Illinois, Southern Illinois University allows you to come at in-state tuition. Not all colleges do. I believe that's a college thing and not really set by the NCAA, so you have to look at that as well. Some out-of-state college wrestling scholarships, you have the ability within 1 year to get in-state. You know, you have to work so many hours, you have to have a driver's license, maybe you have to have, you have to have paid rent, maybe you rented an apartment for a year. So you got to look at some of that too. But I'm kind of getting off track here. But you sort of get how kind of hairy this all gets as far as navigating this whole process. And that's something we do, helping our athletes. And we help anybody. Actually, at purlerwrestling.com, you can look if you had interest. But the bottom line is simply that, back to being a high school state champion. If you're a high school state medalist in California and you're a 4-time Missouri high school state champion, class 1 or 2, it's cool being a state champion 4 times or 3 times or any time, but it's easier, right? Let's be honest. I wrestled class 3. Class 4 was probably tougher, right? I got recruited to Oklahoma State based upon what I did in the summer, right? And that's kind of where you're at. If you want to go to Oklahoma State or one of these top Division I schools, or even a small Division I school nowadays, don't think that just winning a state title in your farm town is going to, like, all of a sudden you're going to have Penn State or Iowa State calling you, because it doesn't work that way, right? So the smaller wrestling states, if you win the state titles or come very close at the larger schools, carries more clout than winning a bunch of state titles. And, if you're in a state that has 4 or 5 or 6 state champions and you're in the small school bracket, a high school is of 300 or less kids, that carries a lot less clout. But all of us, unless you're at one of the top states, like maybe, New Jersey has 1 state champ, Indiana, Pennsylvania is the hotbed of wrestling, California, large school in Iowa. Just winning a state title doesn't guarantee you anything, especially in the Division I level. It's what you do in the off season. And I think sometimes we get confused. I've known some kids who over the years, their parents like, see, we never had to go to any wrestling camps and my kid got a scholarship. Well, yeah, but I don't say this, but yeah, you're class 1 and your kid won 3 state titles. But when you went to college, did you get the opportunity to get better? Were you were you doing the individuals in the morning with the coaches? No, we only did the hour and a half practice at night, right? So you were really recruited as maybe more of a workout partner. Not that you can't earn the respect, but the colleges, the top colleges, they do a lot of morning one-on-ones with the guys. They're being groomed, right? And you don't only want to get a scholarship, you want to get a scholarship at the college you dream of going to and get at least enough money to make it doable. Not that you're ever going to get, I bet half of the Iowa Hawkeye lineup isn't on a full ride. All right. So, but you know what? You get 60%, 40%, or maybe you have awesome grades. You can get maybe a 20% scholarship to a college, and you can get the other 60% paid for through the academic route. So they can put these two together. So that's very important that your grades are on. That's a great way to kind of get through the back door, right? But I will say that I think sometimes, and I've told this to some parents, in Missouri, I'm like, you know what, you don't have to take it as serious. Your kids wrestled 6 or 7 years. By the time they get in high school, they're going to win some state titles in the small little schools. But, you might not make varsity. There's schools right here in St. Louis, you won't make varsity, right? Unless you put in some off-season time. So I don't care if you wrestle year-round. I don't care what you do. I'm just kind of laying it out there because I think there's a lot of confusion where people are like, my kid won state title, where's all the money, right? Doesn't work that way, right? Plus, the college coaches don't really pay to the high school state results except for in a few of the schools. So how do 90% of us maybe who don't win state titles and who don't come from a high-level wrestling state or who are not in the large classes that get more clout in the eyes of the college recruiters, how do we get recruited to a Division I school? Summer wrestling, right? You go to Super 32, you go to Virginia Beach, you go to USA Nationals, you get on the national cadet dual team, you wrestle the freestyle state tournament, you get on the national team of your state, and you hit some of these tournaments, and then you video these matches, and you compile a binder. I got a big binder over there. A binder that's for our world-class wrestler program, our athletes in that program. We keep notes on all of those kids, right? But you want to have that, and then you can go to the coach and say, you know, we're from South Dakota, but we placed fourth at Fargo twice. We went to Super 32 and we went 4-2. We did not place, but we beat the California state champion 2-0 in the first round. Then we lost to the Pennsylvania state champ 5-0. Then we lost an overtime match in wrestlebacks. But my kid's right in there. Here's the proof. Check out the YouTube video, right? Or we have all this at purlerwrestling.com if you had interest. It's like $20 a month. We do the nurturing process. We work you along, all right? But if you don't have interest in that, that's fine. You can do it on your own. If you're willing to do it and take the time and effort. But I do think that, you know, it's something where you want to just understand what you're up against, because I get people all the time from all over the nation, and they are under the impression that if their kid wins a state title, that they're going to have $100,000 waiting for them, right? I had a guy just text one of our campers. He's like, he got shoulder injuries. I don't know what I'm going to do. I planned on my wrestling paying for my college. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't work that way, right? Just because you're a wrestler, right? He's in Indiana. He needs to place at the state tournament. He hasn't done it yet, right? You got to go to the national tournaments in the summer, right? You have to attack the weight room. You have to train year-round. You have to get skilled. You have to bump heads with these top guys in America. And if you don't beat them, at least make it a good match. I know my son, he decided not to wrestle in college, lost his senior year with a severe concussion, but we went to Virginia Beach, has a junior. He had a really good kid, Stefan Glasgow, who started at Nebraska last year. He lost, I think it was 7-3, right? 9-4 maybe, and Stefan was ranked real high, like number 13 overall in the nation. Ty was in on him 3 times, never finished, but had a good match, right? We had some nice schools contacting us, right? And they're like, Purler, your kid's a freaking stud. So and I, don't get me wrong, I emailed that video, I videotaped, I emailed it to all of the coaches, right? Because the ones that weren't there watching, they got it. Because I'm an aggressive and I stay on it until we knock down these barriers. But so, you know, then like I said, his senior, he didn't get a chance to wrestle, and then just decided to, do other things. But he earned the opportunity, and he didn't even place there. He was top 10, one match away from placing, but still, Alex Clemson. He was a head coach at Maryland University, Big Ten coach. He's a Division I Big Ten coach, right? He was All-American at Edinboro. He went to Virginia Beach, didn't place. I think he went 5-2, beat some top guys. Boom, goes to Edinboro, gets a nice scholarship, Division I All-American, right? So you don't think you have to go to these schools and win it. Most college coaches didn't win the national title, right? So you don't have to win, but you better be so competitive that they say, dude, this is a good kid. I can do something with him. He just needs the nurturing, right? And then they get you to the, Old Dominion University. They get you at Virginia Tech. They get you at Purdue, right? They get you the University of Northern Illinois. We send a lot of kids up there. Awesome Division I wrestling program and opportunity, right? So, or maybe even bigger schools like Lehigh and Duke and some of these schools who I was hearing from. It's very exciting. But that's, in a nutshell, some information about winning a state title. But it's mostly done in the national level, except for a few states, but you probably don't live in those states, right? So you want to, if your kids really want to wrestle in Division I and get a scholarship and get the nurturing in the morning AM practices and the one-on-ones and the privates with a coach, rather than be thrown in the room at evening for live wrestling and just kind of being, I'm not going to say ignored, but like just there as a partner, as a support group, you got to go, man, right? You got to go. and be extremely serious about the weight room, about the training, about the on the mat 3 days a week, year round, maybe more. And just get the training, because I think that that's what's required to compete at these tournaments. You only get 2 or 3 national tournaments a year to compete at. You don't get 14 chances. When you go one of these tournaments every 4 or 5 months, those are your opportunities to butt heads with some of these known guys, right? And then you can use that as a lever and leverage yourself, and then your stock just goes up. And in the eyes of these college coaches, who they're getting calls, they're annoyed. They're getting calls and texts from every coach and every mom and dad. Oh, give my son a chance. He's just an amazing kid. What a hard worker. What a great citizen. We only want $50,000. He just wants $50K. He just wants to be a college wrestler. He's such a good boy. He won state in Kentucky, or he won state in Class 1 in Missouri. He can do it. Just trust us on this one. They're not going to do it. If they don't win, they get fired. They can't do it. So make sure that you are someone who, when you contact a coach, you have some clout behind your name and some proof, because it's a business, just like your job is a business, and their job's a business too. So understand that. Good luck.